Okay, picture this. You walk into a hotel lobby, maybe you're dragging a suitcase behind you, maybe you're just excited for a break.
Hmm.
That moment at the check-in desk, it can be, the start of a really smooth, relaxing stay.
Or maybe not so smooth.
Exactly. Sometimes things can get a bit tricky.
And what's interesting, I think, is that this interaction, which seems so routine, it's actually quite a pivotal moment in your whole travel experience. There's often more going on than just, handing over your ID.
Absolutely. And that's what we're digging into today. We've got a couple of, well, really interesting sources looking at hotel check-ins from different angles.
Yeah.
We'll be listening to a fun audio clip first. It's from some English language learners. And they actually stumbled into a pretty unexpected and quite luxurious upgrade situation.
Oh, nice. Lucky them.
Right. And then sort of building on that real-world scenario, we also have a more detailed guide. It's packed with, practical advice on how to navigate that whole check-in process like a pro. And maybe even, boost your chances of getting a little extra comfort yourself.
Sounds useful. So helping people get smoother check-ins, maybe even understand those little quirks.
Precisely. Our goal today is really to equip you with that kind of insider knowledge. Make your next hotel check-in, hopefully, a breeze. We'll decode some key phrases you might hear,
Yeah.
explore some strategies, look at situations that can pop up, ready to get started.
Definitely. It makes you think, though, what's the absolute basic info a hotel needs when you show up? Why is that first step so crucial?
Let's start right there.
Hmm.
So in our audio example, the guest walks up straight to the desk
Yeah.
and says that essential line. "I'd like to check in, please. I have a reservation under the name Anthony Roberts."
Right. That phrase, I have a reservation under the name, sounds simple, doesn't it? But it's basically the key. It unlocks your booking in their whole system. You're
Uh-huh.
essentially telling them, yep, I'm the person you're expecting. My name's on your list. It's how they connect you standing there with the room they've hopefully got waiting for you.
Gotcha. And the audio clip, it sort of illustrates this in different ways, right?
Yeah.
They had examples, "My secretary made a reservation under my name."
Exactly. Shows it doesn't matter who physically clicked book.
Right. It's the name on the booking that counts.
Mm.
And then the receptionist asks, "Do you have a reservation under the name Smith?" That's just them confirming, making sure they've pulled up the right details.
Yeah, it's pretty standard. It really is the bedrock of the whole check-in process. Hotels use these, quite sophisticated database systems now, and
Hmm.
that name, that's the main identifier. Without it, well, chaos. They wouldn't know which room is meant for you.
Okay, now this is where that audio clip gets really interesting, actually. Fun, even.
Yeah.
After that initial confirmation bit, the receptionist mentions a mix-up and then says the hotel is overbooked.
Uh-oh. Usually not good news.
Well, hang on, because this leads to some incredibly welcome news. A complimentary upgrade, wait for it, to the presidential suite.
Wow. Okay, that's not the usual outcome of a mix-up.
Definitely not. And you can hear the excitement in the audio, understandably. Presidential suite.
That really highlights a couple of interesting things about the hotel business, doesn't it? First, the mix-up.
Right.
As they explain it in the clip, it's just some kind of error or confusion. They use some funny example.
Oh, yeah, the bag's going to Antarctica.
Right. Or getting the wrong baby. A bit extreme, maybe.
Just a bit.
But I guess the point across, something didn't go quite as planned. A discrepancy.
The wrong baby is definitely a discrepancy you want to sort out quickly. Okay, so a mix-up is one thing, but then overbooked. What's
Yeah.
that about?
Okay, so overbooked means the hotel has actually accepted more reservations than they physically have rooms available for that night.
Huh? Why would they do that?
Yeah.
Seems risky.
Well, it's a calculated risk. It's actually quite common in the travel industry, hotels, airlines. They do it because they know, based on past data, that a certain percentage of people who book won't actually show up.
Like no shows, last-minute cancellations, that kind of thing.
Oh, exactly. So they use historical data, algorithms sometimes, to try and predict how many rooms to oversell so they end up full, but not too full.
So it's like how airlines sometimes sell more tickets than seats on a plane, right? Hoping not everyone turns up.
Precisely the same principle. And just like with an airline, when a hotel does get it wrong and finds itself genuinely overbooked more guests than rooms, they have to fix it.
And that fix can sometimes mean
Offering some guests a better room than they originally paid for, that lovely complimentary upgrade.
complimentary, meaning free, right?
Yep. You get a higher category room, usually at no extra charge. It's often their way of saying sorry for the inconvenience of the overbooking, or, like in the audio, the mix-up. It's a goodwill gesture.
And what a gesture. The sheer delight in that audio when presidential suite was mentioned. It really got me thinking about those amazing unexpected travel perks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember once I was traveling by train in India, had a really basic ticket, like super basic, and somehow, I still
Yeah.
don't know how, I ended up getting directed to a seat in first class.
No way.
Yeah. Suddenly it was all, comfy seats, someone bringing you water. Quite the change.
Those moments are the best, aren't they? They really stick with you. I had something similar on a flight once from Shanghai to Qatar,
Well,
booked an economy, totally standard, got to the gate, and they just told me I'd been upgraded. First class.
wow. Any idea why? Overbooked again?
Could have been. Or maybe my frequent flyer status helped. Or maybe just pure luck. Either way, it definitely made a very long journey much, much better.
Oh, I bet. First class flights. For me, on the Qatar flight I mentioned earlier, a separate trip, also got upgraded. The absolute highlight was the food.
Yeah.
A 5-course meal.
Seriously, on a plane.
Seriously. Felt like I was in some fancy restaurant just, 35,000 feet up. Wild.
Absolutely. Those unexpected upgrades, they can really lift a trip from just okay to something really special, something you remember.
Totally agree. Okay, so while we can all maybe secretly hope for a presidential suite upgrade because of some mysterious mix-up,
We can dream.
we can dream. But our other source, the guide, it brings us back down to earth a bit. It gives much more grounded, actionable advice, things you can actually do to make check-in smoother.
Right, practical tips.
Yeah, and it starts with what you can do before you even get to the hotel. Preparation.
And that proactive approach is really key, isn't it? The guide rightly points out how important it is to have your booking confirmation handy.
Printed or on your phone.
Either works, just as long as it's easy to pull up. And
Yeah.
having your photo ID ready, passport, driver's license, whatever they need. Essential for verification.
Makes sense.
And if you haven't prepaid, having your credit card or whatever payment method you're using out and ready, it just speeds the whole thing up at the desk.
Definitely. Nothing worse than that frantic rummaging through your bag while people are waiting behind you.
Yeah.
Been there.
Oh, yeah. The guide also mentions knowing your actual reservation details, like double check your check-in and check-out dates, and know what type of room you actually booked.
Why is knowing the room type important?
Well, it just helps you stay informed, make sure what they're giving you matches what you paid for, and helps avoid any confusion right at the start.
Good point. And there was a pro tip in there too, wasn't there? About arriving early or late.
Yeah, that's a smart one. If you know you're going to be arriving way before the standard check-in time or really late at night, give the hotel a call beforehand.
They can guarantee an early check-in.
Not always guarantee, no. It
Yeah.
depends on whether rooms are ready. But letting them know allows them to make a note, maybe prioritize cleaning your room if possible, or just manage their own planning better. It definitely increases your chances of things going smoothly.
Okay, so preparation is step one.
Yeah.
Now you're actually at the reception desk. The guide mentions something that seems simple but maybe isn't always remembered.
Politeness. Being friendly.
Exactly. It says a polite and friendly demeanor really sets the tone for the whole interaction.
Absolutely. It costs nothing, does it? Starting with a nice greeting, hello, good afternoon, and then clearly stating why you're there, I have a reservation under. Just like we heard in the audio, your full name. Straightforward, respectful.
Right. And it's not just about talking, is it? The guide also emphasizes listening carefully.
Yes. Pay attention when the receptionist confirms your details, tells you about the Wi-Fi,
Breakfast times?
where the gym is, any hotel policies. Soak it in then because it prevents you having to ask later, or worse, missing out on something.
And if you don't catch something, if they mumble the Wi-Fi password,
Just ask politely, don't feel awkward. Say, sorry, could you repeat the Wi-Fi password? Or what were the breakfast hours again? Much better to clarify right then and there. Saves hassle later on.
Okay, now for the juicy bit. I think a lot of us wonder about this. How do you politely ask about a potential room upgrade without sounding, pushy or entitled?
Yeah, it's a fine line, isn't it? The guide has some good suggestions here. The main thing is your approach. Keep it courteous, keep it light.
So what's a good phrase?
Something gentle, like, I was just wondering if there happened to be any complimentary room upgrades available today. It's an inquiry, not a demand. It opens the door without forcing it.
I like that. And the guide also suggested mentioning a special occasion.
Yeah, if it's genuine, if it actually is your birthday or anniversary, mentioning it might sway things. A polite, we're actually here celebrating our anniversary, so I was hoping, adds a personal touch. Can't hurt, might help.
Okay. And what if they say no to a free upgrade?
Then the guide suggests asking about paid upgrades. Sometimes you can get a noticeably nicer room, maybe a better view, slightly bigger for a relatively small extra charge per night. Might be worth considering if it fits your budget.
Good fallback option.
Mm,
The guide also mentioned some things that might increase your chances generally, like timing.
right. Apparently, your odds might be slightly better if you ask during less busy times, midweek check-ins maybe, or during the off-season when the hotel isn't completely full.
Makes sense. They have more flexibility then.
Yeah.
What else?
Loyalty programs. If you're a member of the hotel's loyalty scheme, you often get priority for upgrades when they are available. It's one of the perks.
Ah, worth signing up then.
Can be. And probably the most important tip. If the answer is no, just be gracious about it. A simple, okay, thanks for checking anyway, goes a long way, shows respect, keeps the interaction positive.
Absolutely. No point being grumpy if you don't get the presidential suite.
Exactly. Hotel staff deal with requests all day. Politeness makes a difference. It makes the whole experience better for everyone, upgrade or not.
Okay, so beyond upgrades, the guide also talked about making other kinds of special requests, didn't it?
Yeah.
More specific things about the room itself.
Yeah, it emphasizes that hotels generally want to accommodate guest preferences if they can. So it's worth asking if you have something particular in mind.
Like what kind of things?
Well, maybe you prefer a room on a higher floor for the view or quiet, or perhaps you need a room away from the noise of the elevator. Or you specifically want a room overlooking the pool or not overlooking the noisy street.
Okay, so location preferences.
Right. Or maybe you need practical things like extra pillows, more blankets, or maybe a mini fridge if the room doesn't automatically come with one. It's always okay to ask politely.
And again, that pro tip came up.
Yeah.
Ask in advance if you can, right?
Exactly. Especially for things like room location or needing specific items. Making those requests when you book or calling ahead gives the hotel more time to plan and increases the chance they can fulfill it when you arrive, particularly if they're busy.
Makes total sense. Now, even with the best planning in the world, sometimes things go wrong, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. Life happens, travel happens.
So what if you arrive and your room just isn't ready? Or there's some other booking error? The guide had advice for that too.
The number one piece of advice, stay calm and stay polite.
Easier said than done sometimes if you're tired after a long journey.
True. But getting angry or raising your voice honestly won't help. It usually just makes the situation more tense. The guide gives some really useful example phrases.
Like what?
If the room isn't ready, instead of getting frustrated, try something like, okay, I understand the room isn't quite ready yet. Is there perhaps a lounge area where I could wait? Or maybe somewhere I could store my luggage for a bit? It's constructive.
Shows you're looking for a solution, not just complaining.
Exactly. And similarly, if you get to your room and there's an issue, maybe the air conditioning isn't working or something isn't clean, go back or call down and calmly state the problem. Excuse me, I've just gotten to my room and I noticed, describe the issue. Could you please help me resolve this? Or perhaps see if another room might be available.
Again, focusing on the solution.
Yes. A calm, clear, solutions-oriented approach makes it so much easier for the hotel staff to understand the problem and actually help you fix it.
Right. Okay, so you've navigated check-in, maybe even snagged a small perk, dealt with any minor hiccups. The guide had a final couple of points about enjoying the stay itself.
Yeah, just reminders, really. Once you're settled, take a moment to actually familiarize yourself with what the hotel offers. Check out the gym opening times, see what the restaurant menus look like, find the pool.
Make the most of the facilities you're paying for.
Exactly. And also, thinking ahead to departure, if you think you might need a bit more time on your last day, it's always worth asking about a late checkout.
You usually get one.
Depends entirely on how busy they are and if they need the room for an incoming guest. Sometimes there's a fee, sometimes they'll give you an extra hour or two for free, especially if you're a loyalty member. Doesn't hurt to ask politely in advance.
Good tip. And the final point was about gratitude.
Yes, seems simple, but just saying a genuine thank you to staff who've been helpful, the receptionist, the concierge, housekeeping, it's noticed and appreciated.
Makes sense.
And if you've had a really great experience, the guide suggests considering leaving a positive online review or maybe leaving a tip for particularly excellent service. It's a nice way to acknowledge their effort.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, just to quickly circle back that English learning segment we mentioned at the start. It also had a useful vocabulary list connected to all this.
Ah, right. The key terms.
Yeah, things like check-in, obviously, under the name, reservation, confirmation. Then the interesting ones like mix-up, complimentary upgrade, overbooked, and then checkout, booking, concierge, That's the person who helps with restaurant reservations, tours, that sort of thing.
The hotel's helper, yeah.
Right. And deluxe room, receipt. Just knowing what these common hotel words mean can really boost your confidence, can't it? Makes the whole process feel less intimidating, maybe.
Absolutely. Being familiar with the language of hotels definitely helps you communicate more effectively and just feel more in control of your travel experience.
So, wrapping it all up, the key takeaways seem pretty clear. First, be prepared. Have your booking info ready.
Right. Preparation is key.
Second, communicate clearly and, importantly, courteously with hotel staff.
Politeness goes a long way.
And third, know how to handle those common check-in situations, whether it's a simple request or dealing with something unexpected like overbooking.
Be calm. Be solution focused.
And hey, who knows? With that bit of knowledge, maybe a touch of luck, you might just find yourself enjoying a slightly more luxurious stay than you planned.
Exactly. It's all about being informed, being respectful, and kind of understanding the dynamics at play during that check-in process.
So here's something to think about for next time you travel. Now that you're armed with all this, was maybe one small but significant request you might feel a bit more confident making during your next hotel check-in?
Or perhaps thinking about that balance between just booking the basic room versus the potential, however small, for a nice surprise upgrade. How might knowing all this influence the way you approach booking your next hotel stay?
Yeah, some interesting food for thought there before your next trip.